Pod Candy!
A podcast about cults, crimes, and killers. Eileen or Lee Wuornos was a sex worker who murdered 7 men in Florida between 1989 and 1990, claiming each killing was an act of self-defense against clients who had assaulted or attempted to rape her. Born into poverty, abandonment, and abuse, Wuornos lived a transient life marked by violence and survival on society's margins. Her crimes, arrest, and trial drew intense media attention, framing her alternately as a cold-blooded killer and a victim of lifelong exploitation. In 2002, she was executed by lethal injection, but her story continues to raise questions about trauma, gender, justice, and the ways society decides who is beyond redemption. Netflix's new documentary revisits one of the most notorious names in American crime, Eileen Wuornos.
A woman whose story has been twisted and retold for decades, from mugshots and headlines to the word monster.
But this series strips away the mythology. It forces us to look at the person beneath the crimes, a life built on abandonment, abuse, and survival. A child discarded long before the murders ever began.
It asks uncomfortable questions. What creates someone like Eileen? How much of her story is choice and how much is circumstance?
Because this isn't just about the violence she committed. It's about the violence she endured, about the cycle that never seems to end for women society decides are unworthy of empathy.
It's a story about power, pain, and the thin, shifting line between victim and predator.
This is Aileen, queen of the serial killers.
Outside my window, it's only raining. When the wind blows, I feel pain. I don't need no doctor, baby, I'm not sick. My body's been locked up, heartbroken ever since.
Hi, Dori.
Hi,
Nice
Stacey.
to see you.
Nice to see you as well.
I want to say that, whenever the movie Monster with Charlize Theron came out, I remember seeing it and thinking, first of all, Charlize does a transformation into this character who I barely knew about. And this is not what the podcast is about, but I barely knew about Eileen Wuornos before seeing Monster. I was very interested in the whole case and whether or not, these men were abusive and all that stuff. But it seemed as if the movie Monster portrayed her worse than the documentary we watched.
These sand roads like this are all throughout the national forest in Ocala, Florida. The hunters call them pig trails. This was the Burris scene, Troy Burris. The company that you work for, Gilchrist Sausage, it's like, hey, our guy hadn't showed up. We don't know, maybe he's broke down. Then also, his truck was found literally out in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing like a decomposing body. How did this person end up down this road? And then how did his truck end up 8 miles away? He knew who the suspect was. This isn't a stranger on stranger type of homicide. And then another body showed up.
This is Charles, nicknamed Dick, last name Humphreys.
The Humphreys murder was more brutal. There were 7 bullets, not 2. And it's the same bullets. Wonder if these are related. It wasn't uncommon to do a fax blast to all agencies in the state of Florida saying, does anybody have anything similar? Information started coming back. Citrus had 1 body, Pasco had 1 body, Dixie had 1 body, Volusia had 1 body. We had 2. 7 men were killed within a 12-month period, all found dead in the woods. As the cases began to progress, we'd see the headshot more. The passion of the person who's committing these murders is increasing. The rage. The first murder that we knew about was Richard Mallory.
This is Mr. Mallory.
Found in December of '89.
Mr. Mallory. His car. His car.
In every case, the victim's vehicle was found in some other part of the state. There were used rubbers and a blonde hair found at one of the crime scenes. It's like, wait a minute, this is a woman out here doing this?
The documentary we watched, I felt very sorry for her. And I am not saying what she did was okay or right or good, taking somebody's life, taking somebody's husband, partner, father, brother, whatever, away from them is not obviously not the right answer. But this woman had no chance. No chance.
Yeah. I think I texted you right after I watched it, and I expressed the exact same sentiment. I feel bad for her. It's, somebody who has lived a life where they have been abused their whole entire life by men, by women, and really, really difficult abuse, like difficult sexual, obviously mental abuse too. But really, it sounded like really strong, like physical abuse.
So when I was little, I was adopted by my grandmother and grandfather. My grandmother was really clean and decent, did not swear, did not drink. She was into Jesus Christ. Grandfather was a sergeant in World War II. He was very stringent, but he was not nasty. A very decent, moral upbringing. At around probably 14, my grandmother died from cirrhosis of the liver. I always miss her, and I always love her. At around 15, I ran away from home. I got caught, went to Adrian's training school for 6 months. When I got out, I hit that road and I split from the state. On the road 24/7 for 4 years, nonstop. I must have been raped, I'd say about 30 times, maybe more. I was gang raped twice when I was a kid by my high school friends. My high school friends, man.
Not condoning that you should be murdering people, but I got it. Like, the system really failed her. Life failed this woman. And I think we should both say, like, this was not my favorite documentary. I think you agree with that, right? Like, it's not the way that it was made. It was just,
I couldn't tell if all those clips were actually Eileen Wuornos.
Yeah.
And Tyree,
the lover,
her girlfriend, her lover. I couldn't tell. And I was like, why are they doing all this juxtaposed thing? Then there was like talking over talking. And then going between this weird, I mean, no offense to the reporter, she was beautiful and I'm sure she's great, but it was very sort of set up and a little fake from that female reporter from wherever, I don't know, CBS, and I don't know where she was from. And I don't remember her name. Maybe John will tell us. But that reporter who interviewed her and then interviewed other people, I just thought she was a little bit, she was sensationalizing. It felt sensationalized with that woman.
It was all very choppy. It was all very choppy.
It was choppy.
It was hard to follow. But I think that I think that the reason why I feel such maybe compassion towards her is when, she went through this trial and it was obvious with the prosecutor that he was just out to get her, and then he was running for office, and there was no true listening to her. This is he didn't allow all the evidence to be supported that she was attacked, that she, that one of the guys was raping her.
We especially thank God for John Tanner. Obscenity kills women and children. The decent people are going to demand the laws be enforced and the pornographers have got to go.
John Tanner was the lead prosecutor and running in the election for state's attorney at the same time.
Eileen Wuornos was everything he detested, and he thought she would be an easy conviction.
So you were assigned to be the judge on the Wuornos case. What happened?
The state, about a month prior to trial, filed a motion to disqualify me or recuse me.
Why?
I can't really tell you.
This was a direct attack on me that I was not the person they wanted to try this case. They knew that I would give this woman a fair trial, and they had no intentions of that ever happening.
It is kind of that thing, we weren't there. So it could have been her making this up, but it didn't. My
feel
gut
that way.
reaction was, that it didn't.
I believed her, and she admitted when she lied. She admitted about she had said Richard, the first victim, had anally. I actually took notes on this because I didn't want to miss. Had anally raped and tortured her, Richard Mallory. But that was the only lie, Lee said. And this Richard drove her into an area in the woods. I mean, if somebody drives you into an area of the woods, it's not really a good. But they sealed up all these. Tanner, the lawyer you're talking about, the prosecutor, never got the sealed records of Richard's past convictions or whatever he had done.
He was a former rapist, right? He was
right, they said they had nothing on Richard. And they did, and Tanner is a hypocrite. I mean, he is a hypocrite.
What we want to get your reaction on today, Lee, is that we have found out some things about Richard Mallory that were never introduced in court.
Wait a minute.
Okay?
Okay.
Richard Mallory was convicted of assault with intent to rape.
When was this? What year?
Well, he was actually arrested in 1957. Okay, he ended up spending 10 years in an institute for criminal sexual deviance.
Well, he had his sexual defunct all his life then, because he was a maniac with me.
When you went to trial, did you know that Richard Mallory had been arrested for assault and attempted rape?
No, we did not.
Did you know that he claimed he was insane at the time of that incident?
We do not, nor did we know that.
I want to read you some quotes that he wrote at the time to the judge. This is Richard Mallory speaking. "I hope they give me the gas chamber. I am no use to myself nor to anyone. I should die, and I wish I could. I was afraid I might do something someday to somebody. Here's the quote from the doctor who ran the institute after several years of alleged treatment. Because of Richard Mallory's emotional disturbance and his poor control of his sexual impulses, he could present a potential danger to his environment in the future. Another quote. He is still an extremely confused, impulsive, and explosive individual who will get into serious difficulty, most likely of a sexual nature.
It's sad, isn't it?
What is sad about it?
Sad society didn't care, did they? They framed me for a movie. They framed me for elections, and they framed me for political purposes. And they didn't care about taking up all this.
Do you know how I found this out?
No.
Through looking at a deposition that your office had. Jackie Davis, his ex-girlfriend. And this information is in your records. How much more of a clue?
He had indicated that he had been in some type of trouble as a juvenile, I had thought. And perhaps that's why it didn't come up on the records.
This is on the records. This is not a sealed record. Not a sealed record. Took me a day to find.
I feel so hopeless. I'm numb. I'm mad. When I get back to the room, I'll show my anger to myself. The hell with you people. You don't give a shit, so what the heck?
That really upset me. And again, like you said, nobody was listening to her. Yeah, this is what Tanner said. Richard Mallory is not violent. He has no history, according to Tanner, of any rape, abuse, or any of that stuff. And then she said, they framed me for a movie. They just wanted her to be gone. They just wanted to get rid of her.
And the girlfriend that that Eileen was in love with her.
And her name's Tyra, not Tyree. Sorry,
Tyra also turned on her as well. So it's like, you know, I've personally never been put in that circumstance of having everybody against you. And again, I feel like I'm like so like defending her so much, but she didn't seem horrendous. She felt like when she was taught, she had a bit of a sense of humor, but she really truly was like, I would call it defeated, like just a person in this world who's defeated. I also want to say too, she gave off to me, like, you know, Kate McKinnon from Saturday Night Live.
Yes,
when she does
she's like my favorite.
She does those she does that alien character where all the aliens are like up my butt. That's what Eileen, when I first started watching this, I'm like, oh, this is like that Kate. And of course, that's, you know, very sad that's like, she was a real person, but I did get that vibe.
Yeah, me too. I have to say this. I kind of liked her. Like, I kind of liked her. I thought she was I just felt really sorry for her. And that woman, at first I thought that woman who adopted her. So as we know, she had a very bad home life. She was raised by her grandparents, but then she was out on the streets and drinking. She said she doesn't do drugs, drinking and hooking or whatever. This woman named Eileen Wuornos adopted Eileen
as an adult.
As an adult. And I'm wondering what we can ask John this, you know, what is going on with that woman, Eileen? Like, why does she feel attached, except for the fact that she wanted her to be saved by Jesus? And she felt God told her it was a duty that she needed to fulfill.
Yeah. Well, I think you
So-
said it. I think you asked, or you were about to say, like, did you get a creepy factor at the beginning?
Yeah, I got a creepy factor, and then I started kind of liking her.
But then I'm like, me too. But then I was like,
Yes.
oh wow, she was really in her corner until the end, and she really truly supported Eileen.
Yeah, and she supported, because Eileen really was like, can we speed this up? Like, okay, I'm admitting it, because each person had to have a trial. And as I learned on this podcast, the more convictions you have, the longer you're in prison. But she was already given the death penalty. So she wanted to move that up because she just couldn't stand being on this earth anymore. And so I think, interesting, Arlene helped her transition out of this world into heaven.
Yeah.
It feels like she counseled her to take Jesus into her heart, and then she was okay to go.
You know what
That's what I felt.
you know what the documentary was lacking with that point that you just said? I would have loved to have heard from Eileen her views on Arlene. Like, that was a really big, like, of her, quote unquote adoptive mother. There was no, there wasn't that. And then also all the friends at the end, I got confused by the friends.
Yeah, who's Dawn? Dawn.
Like, they all they came out of nowhere and they seemed the same. I got them confused.
Well, so did I, because Dawn came out of nowhere.
There's an
Who's
Australian,
Dawn?
yeah. Who's the one from there's an Australian friend.
Jasmine Hurst is corresponded with Lee for 8 years. And I think she just wanted to, she was a photographer and she wanted to capture, they had an interview, like she came in town from Australia and interviewed. She got to see her, and also her friend Dawn, who I couldn't track her. I was like, where's Dawn from? Was the last person to say goodbye to her. Yeah,
they just
but who was she?
Up. Yeah, there was no, that's again, just like nitpicking the documentary. It's a very quick watch for everybody who's listening now. But I would be more interested in reading more about Eileen Wuornos than watching this documentary. That's just my personal view on it. I don't know. I think that I do think that the doctor probably has some really good insight into this. And I'm wondering if maybe he could answer for us where all these friends did come from.
Well,
like, if he followed it better than the rest of us.
He probably did. Diane's last name is Botkiss, and she's a family friend, but that's all I know. And I don't know where she came from. And why didn't she take care of Eileen growing up? Like, why wasn't she there? Like, what? Well, where was she?
Maybe the doctor has some answers. Should we
bring him in?
Let's bring him in. Let's see.
Oh, you know what? He's vacuuming right now. Should we not interrupt him?
Dr.
For our special
John.
guest.
You're exactly right. You need to clean this green room because it's getting kind of stifling in here.
I bet.
Thank you for letting me out a little early here.
Stacey and I are giving you big applause. Woo!
Yes, Dr. John.
With the slow clap. I get the slow clap coming out.
It reminds me of
I have a lot to say on this whole thing. And by the way, I want to emphasize, as I always do, a little commentary on the documentary. And yeah, this was not a well-made documentary. I agree with both of what you said. It was Stacey, one of the things I'm watching it and I'm going, why are they putting these images of lesbian girls frolicking on the beach? Was that Lee and Ty? But it didn't look like them. It was confusing. And then some of the characters that are introduced so quick, which are these friends, and not really explained really well. And you're exactly right. These friends appeared towards the end, and the documentary almost made it seem like these friends were creating a Coachella festival out of all of her execution day, and they're laughing and reminiscing but reminiscing not with sadness, kind of laughing and joking in a hotel room about the execution and about Aileen Lee. And it just seemed bizarre without any explanation. But you know what? The other thing I have to say to both of you, it really highlights our job here on Pod Candy of giving a little more background and insight into a case like this, because the documentary fell very short on these things. I would have loved to seen more about her childhood, which I'm going to comment on, etc. And this whole bizarreness of Arlene Prowl, is that how you're pronouncing her name, Stacey?
I think so, yeah.
Adopts Lee while she's in prison.
On death row.
On death row, already convicted, and this woman adopts her as a child. That's, to me, it's like bizarre.
Right. Eileen's an adult, but she adopts her as her own child.
Bizarre. I can't say how many cases I've been involved in where people adopt, let's say, a preteen or a teen who are delinquents and criminals. And I just shake my head and go, do you realize what you're up for in adopting a person with a history like this? And this Arlene jumps in and adopts Lee. It's just craziness. And I think Stacey hit it on the head. There was some concept in this person's mind that she was going to bring her into Jesus and save her soul. But it had I think the same effect of these people who marry people who are in prison and, these killers. I think she was a fan of killers somehow and just wanted to get close to Lee in this way.
I saw her picture in the newspaper, and I get butterflies. Then when I was out on the lawnmower, like 10 days later, Jesus asked me to reach out to her. I want you to write her a letter and tell her about me. I want you to help her.
You're looking at expectant parents. Bob and Arlene Prowley are going to a judge's office to adopt suspected mass murderer Eileen Wuornos. A few moments later, they emerge with the piece of paper that makes Wuornos their legal daughter. How do they feel about that?
Euphoric, I just want to burst into tears. I wanted to be a mom forever. It was awesome. I mean, just unbelievable. We talked every single night. Our phone bills were $1,200 a month. And we talked, we prayed. And I said, why do you keep hedging about wanting to accept Jesus in your heart and have the same peace that I've got? And she said, do you really want the truth? She said, because if I accept him and I'm born again, I feel you're just going to leave me like everybody else. Leave you? I said, I just want to make sure if something happens to you, you're going to heaven. She said, well, in that case, can I do it right now, right here over the phone?
It's a fascination. It's like, people that wanted to marry Dahmer or Bundy or, the period, like it was 80s, 90s. It really looked old. I was like, is that what it looked like? Like that woman was wearing green eyeshadow and her hair was, I was like, wow, this is.
Yeah, and this is a 2025 document. This just came out on Netflix.
I know. It just seemed very unfinished.
Yeah.
It needed an hour and a half more to introduce all these people from her life and and talk more to her about her life.
Exactly. So let's finish it on Pod Candy. Let's tell the audience, let's fill in all the details and give them some insight into this person. My overall comments and instructive comments were, Lee was really a feral person, a person that was, I think a very important point that was made very, very briefly was she was abandoned at 6 months old by her mother, and the grandmother found her in an attic in squalor and with bugs on her and dirty. And then began to raise her. So we have an individual here, Lee, who is just treated like trash from birth. She was put in an attic. You might as well put her in a garbage can and forget about her. So what happens then to a person like that? Well, a person grows up and becomes trash. She had, and people survive that. People can even, I don't want to say thrive, but have a life after that, especially when these grandparents were purported to be good people and, they didn't abuse her. But her life just gets this horrible bad luck of she's raped by peers in middle school, raped repeatedly. She reports that she was raped by the time she was 17, 30 times. Incredible. So and excuse me, audience, for saying it this way, but this piece of trash just gets treated like trash her entire life. And so we have a person who is not evil, but is just, doesn't know any other life but being like this feral individual, almost animalistic in a way.
And
by the way, I
discarded,
mentioned evil, and I don't know if you guys know this, but we had a interesting comment on our Facebook page that from Linda Nelson, one of our fans. And
hey, Linda.
Yeah, she asked us to talk more about evil, which we will in all of our podcasts. But here's a good moment to talk about the difference between evil and being just an individual that's more animalistic. And I think that's what Lee was. She almost lived life like an animal.
Do you think Dori's dying? Do you think?
I love the Linda shout out. I can't. It's like, thank you, Linda, for listening.
Linda, listen.
It just made me so. It just.
Thank you for listening, Linda.
Because it's like, oh, this is for real, and Linda's a listener. Thank you for listening, Linda.
Yeah.
Thank you, Linda, super fan.
I didn't get the feeling. Here's an interesting thing. I didn't get the feeling that she was like a sociopath. I just feel I feel that she had empathy. I feel like she had feelings and empathy. That's why I can't compare her to Gacy or Bundy or Dahmer. I mean, even Dahmer sometimes seemed to be a little bit caring in a weird way.
Well, I agree with you, but this is a good question for John. So if she murdered, I agree with you, Stacey, but she murdered 7 people. So that essentially is a serial killer. However, like you, I didn't get the sense that she is like a Dahmer or a Gacy. I feel like she's getting pummeled on and raped, and she's like, enough. Like, I hate. So, Dr. John, what do you think about that?
I think you're right on. You're absolutely right on target, because she did say in that final interview where she said, I'm going to now tell the whole truth, and truths that I didn't say in court, etc. And Dori, you said it earlier, where you said, I don't think she was horrendous. I don't think she was horrendous either. And again, she wasn't evil. And we'll talk about evil in other episodes.
And I don't think it was premeditated, these murders. And every time it happened, I think she didn't mean, I don't think she was like, I want to go find another victim to kill.
Well, she admitted,
what do you think?
Stacey, I have to interrupt. She did admit in that truth interview that the first 3 were self-defense. And I think this Mallory guy, one of her first victims, was abusive to her. She said she admitted she lied about him anally raping her.
Correct.
He was very rough with her, etc. And then she has 3 other men that she's abused by, and I think it was self-defense. But in that truth interview, she said, then I went on a rampage. I went hunting for rapists. I went hunting for these men. So we have this individual, and this is where I talk about her kind of animal nature. I really think that's what's operating here. And it's not a horrendous person. This is a person who is feral, is like an animal. And she, as Dori said, think she had enough. It's like, okay, now
she had enough.
Her anger,
she
her disgust at what was happening, and she went on the hunt, you know.
So I was underneath the viaduct of Tampa when I ran into Richard Mallory. And you all have heard the story, what happened with him and everything else. And that was supposedly rape. Well, that is true. It was rape. But there's only one thing that I lied about. And that is that there was no sodomy. I slipped with the cops in the beginning saying about sodomy because I was thinking about Tyra and I was just running my mouth, saying anything that came to my head. I was thinking of raped women and their problems and my problems and everything, and just anything was coming to my mind. You know, I wasn't even there. I was hysterical. So when I started on the confessions, I remember I said sodomy to him. I said, ooh, I better be a little consistent here, you know. So I said, Richard Mallory used sodomy. Then I had to keep up with that stupid lie throughout the court and everything, and it pissed me off. I didn't like doing it. So I felt really bad about that. Yeah. 6 months later, I ran into David Spears. He had a lead pipe in his hand. And so he was trying to hit me with it. He just missed my hand. And by the time I got the door open and got the gun, he was only about 3 feet from me, and so I started shooting him. And I shot him away. So he was also definitely an assault. There was no rape involved or any of that jazz, but he was an assault. Now my head's swimming in thought, I'm not going to, go to prison for life for these creeps. If you're going to sock me in the chair, I'm going to get me a bunch of rapists. So I was ready. So come on, tell me you're a rapist and you're dead. Well, it didn't happen. I was running into these idiots. I was running into drug smuggler Carl Skadden. I'm highly against drugs. Highly. I have a hard time taking this Advil for my teeth. When he kept telling me about drug smuggling, I decided to waste him. And so that's what happened with Carl Skadden. Well, here I got a first degree. This is really first degree. I don't care anything. I don't care about anything no more now. It's over. It's over. Eileen Wuornos, the real Eileen Wuornos, not a serial killer. I was so drunk and so lost, so fucked up in the head, man, that I turned into one. But my real self is not one.
Let's throw this out there. So she killed rapists. Is that bad? Again, I'm not saying we all should go and start murdering people, but why is that so terrible if these men are rapists? And that, when you say the evil, she, again, to me, is far from evil.
She's like Dexter. He's not evil. Do you know what I'm talking about, Dori? Did you watch Dexter?
I don't watch Dexter. I watch a lot of Bravo TV. So unfortunately,
did you watch Dexter, Dr. John?
Shout out to Bravo, by the way. No, I it's on my list. I should really watch it.
Well, I mean, he kills people that quote unquote deserve to die.
Are bad.
You know what I mean? And so we're it's like, what is the morality there? What is that?
Right.
Where do we go?
I want to get back to Dori's point because it's a good one. And here's the thing I want to underline as well. Remember that the prosecutor who was running for state's attorney at the time of the trial, which we got to talk about in a second.
Yeah.
But the point I want to make is they portrayed this Mallory guy as kind of an ordinary, just kind of nice guy. He was a good citizen. He ran some kind of a repair shop, etc. And it turns out the guy not only did he have a criminal history, but this is the point I want to make for everybody. Guys that go out looking for prostitutes aren't model citizens. What's wrong with a guy that has to, drive in the middle of the night, leave it, kiss his wife goodnight, and put his little children, tuck them in bed, and then go searching for a prostitute in the middle of the night? These are not model citizens, and
this will not end well.
yeah. Well, and these are they're part of the problem as well. There was a movement some years ago of arresting the Johns, they're called. I don't know where that ended up, but in Chicago here, there was a whole task force of arresting guys that were out looking for prostitutes, and I kind of applaud that. Besides, what kind of a man needs to go out and hunt for sex like this? It's crazy, and wrong.
I mean, pornography is at your fingertips, gentlemen.
Literally at fingertips.
But also not to begrudge sex workers, because it is a profession, and it is, and I'm sure that's a whole other tangent we can go on. But again, my point with that is the whole, and this maybe is like something you can answer, John, like just with like your mental thought of this, of killing bad people. Why do I think that may be okay? Again, not saying that I would ever go and murder somebody, because I don't have it in me, but I don't necessarily begrudge people. And, that's been lately, that's happened with the health insurance guy, the United Healthcare guy, and the guy, his premiums were so high and he couldn't get anybody to help him, and he murdered the guy. Is that right, in cold blood, to go out and just shoot a guy and kill him? No. But I get it. I understand it. What does that say about me, John? Am I just completely...
I agree with you.
I think what it says is that your sense of morality, is that bad people deserve bad things done to them, and your sense of justice, and that's yours. And by the way, I think it's a lot of people's. That's why we do have death penalty and things like that, is that people feel that these people should be eliminated and not walk the world. Now, there's a lot of people on the other side that say, whether you're evil or bad or do bad things, you're still a human being that deserves to live. So it's a huge debate in the world, quite frankly, not just the United States, but the world, of what to do with these people. And so I think that's what it says about you, Dori, is that's your value system, and we should all honor that. I don't know where I stand on it. I've been with these individuals on death row and have had to evaluate them and sat with them in evaluation rooms for hours, and people that are purely evil. I've evaluated, and I get out of these interviews and shake my head and go, this person doesn't deserve to be walking around our society, but do they deserve to be killed? I don't know.
Yeah, see, that's
the thing. And I'm not for the death penalty. So I'm just going out there and saying, like, I am not.
Yeah.
But
Me neither.
Get it. But I get it why Eileen did what she did. And I am not I'm not mad at it. I get, like, if somebody is a vile human being and raping women, I'm like, okay, so she killed rapists. Like, that's the thing. But again, there is, like, two sides to every story, three sides really. So we really don't know. You mentioned her truth confession. Who knows if that really is the truth? That's what she's saying, but her story changed over and over.
Well, that's, I want to jump on that point too, Dori, because by that time, she was very mentally ill. You could see the change and transition in her. One of the things about this documentary, as poor as it was made, is that it did show her from the time that before she was arrested, and then through the end till she was executed. And you could see the progression into madness. She was just very mentally ill at the end. And she comes into the interview and she's got a huge smile and is just as happy as a lark to be doing this.
Right.
And her eyes were crazy eyes, and And you're right. We don't know if even if that was the truth, but that was her truth that she claimed. And so I think we talk about that and we discuss it based on her truth. And that's all we have to go on, because the investigation and the truth was never really found out by objective sources. So
nobody cared about her truth. Nobody cared about the rape. No, you know what I mean? And she was like a person alone on an island, I felt. I don't think she had any chance because of where she came from, who she was. Men, especially white men, hated her. They just wanted her off the earth. I am completely in agreement with you, Dori. I am not a proponent of the death penalty. I don't understand, here's the thing. People do horrible things. And, if somebody did anything, God forbid, to somebody in my family, I might want them to, there's been times when people have gone to death and not been guilty, like the Rosenbergs. Like, I know that's far away from now, but, a long time ago. But I just think it's too iffy. And I also think it's not a punishment for the person as much as it is for I don't know how that is a punishment.
Well, I
don't know. Explain it to me.
Stacey, can I jump in with a true story? Mm-hmm. I evaluated a person on death row some years ago. And my evaluation was the following. This poor guy, who was a young man, he was in his 20s, didn't have the intelligence level. I actually gave him some quick intelligence test to judge his intelligence level. Didn't have the intelligence level to commit the crimes that he was a serial killer, commit the crimes that he was convicted of. They were elaborate. They took planning, which a person who has a challenged intellect, we used to call them retarded, but we don't call them that anymore officially, of low intellect. One of the deficits they have is they can't plan or string events along. And this guy, his killings were elaborate. And the whole thing had an air of him being set up, because a couple of the people that he was accused of killing were FBI informants on the drug trade. So I don't want to tell too much about this case. I don't know if I'm allowed to. But here's the deal. I gave an analysis that there's no way that this guy committed these crimes. He doesn't have the brain wherewithal. He was executed.
Oh.
So. And
do we know if he did it?
I don't know. I don't get, follow up on cases like that once I do the evaluation. But was he doing some stupid stuff? Yeah, he was doing drugs with a number of these people. He was having sex with them. These are all women that were killed. And they were chopped up, and, some of them were burned to cover up evidence. And again, I can't get in probably to specific details, but the way in which the bodies were hidden and the parts of the bodies were also hidden, and it was planned out. You have to have at least moderate intelligence to do this. And this guy, he was very dull, very dull.
It's so sad.
It is sad.
Yeah.
Now, my job isn't to prove, if he did it or not. My job was to just evaluate him. And even though he came out with that kind of evaluation, he was still, executed.
I just wanted to ask about the girlfriend. What's her name? Eileen's girlfriend? Ty?
Yeah.
Tyra.
Yeah.
You mean Snaggletooth?
Well, the fact that they also, for the documentary, they didn't ask her. So we don't really know her side of anything either. And I know we watched years ago, I watched the movie Monster. Stacey, you've seen the movie Monster. But like, that's another thing too of this documentary kind of as a whole. And I have to say, John, just you describing that case that you worked on, I'd love to see a documentary about that. So that's something that, I'd like to see. But I wanted to know more about the girlfriend. And I know that Aileen Lee was very in love with her. And I wanted to know more about that relationship because I'm wondering, one, was Ty involved in the murders, right? And like why Ty didn't get brought, like she's not in prison, right? Or I don't even know if she's alive or what's going on with her. But
again, we don't know but from the documentary, but she certainly wasn't in prison.
Ty didn't do nothing there. She didn't have to move a muscle. I loved her so bad. She did not have to move a muscle.
And do you hear from Ty anymore? Or
I haven't seen Ty. I haven't heard from Ty since 1992, I think it's been her.
Do you miss her?
Yes. Missed her a lot. I always miss her. And I always love her. And I'll be thinking about her the day I'm executed. I'll be thinking about her leaving. I loved her so bad. And the only reason I carried that darn gun is because I loved her so much. I wanted to make sure that I got home alive, in one piece. So I'd be another day breathing with her,
Yeah.
But it didn't turn out that way. Got all screwed up.
My assessment of that whole relationship is that a woman like Lee doesn't really know how to be in love. That whole I'm in love with.
Right.
This was more of it. She was so underdeveloped as a human being, Lee, that that wasn't really love. It was some kind of attachment and bonding.
Do you think
certainly.
Do you think it happens just like with the mother, Arlene, the adoptive mother, that anybody who is kind, she just would think that that's love or that's she just doesn't. But that's also too why it sounds like why she was always taken advantage of her whole life. Maybe there was an act of kindness and she would want to think this person cares about me. I can try, and then they just all fuck her over.
Yeah. Well, Lee, again, based on my theory, more than theory, my assessment of how primitive, animalistic she was, doesn't know how to bond with people. And probably, as you pointed out, when she was young and being taken advantage of so many times, just was kind of fell into it because she's so naked to the world, just like, okay, just went along with things and put herself in situations which were, not the best situations. One of the primary examples of this is that the grandparents supposedly were good people that were raising her. But what does she do? She runs away at 14. Gets in a juvenile hall for, 8 months or so, but then runs away again. And so now she's on the street the rest of her life. A person who has some common sense lives with these grandparents and is safe and has a nicer place to live than on the street. But again, she also had, just such a horrendous life. That's where I can't think of anything better to say, but it's like an animal. She's not.
But there's also too the mental illness question. Obviously towards the end of her death, yes, it was obvious that she was mentally ill, but was she mentally ill from birth? We don't even know. There?
We don't know.
And that could have impacted her, or if you had talked to her, what is her level of comprehension of what you were talking about with your other case that you met with that gentleman?
Yeah.
maybe this is something that has impacted her from birth or something like that. So we really don't, I think the whole summation of this in my mind is it is a very sad case, no matter which way you look at it. That is why I do have empathy for this woman. Because it sounds like, yes, she could be a person of circumstance and, brought it all on herself, but I did not get that feeling.
Right. No, I don't think this was brought on herself. I think one of the large social issues that we can point out here on Pod Candy that this illustrates is how kids are treated like this in our society. This is not an isolated thing where kids are thrown away at 6 months of age. How many times do we see examples of, babies being found in garbage cans or dropped off in a hospital or a church? It happens all the time. And sadly, I see it in my work all the time where I'm treating people and they go into their history and it's like, it's Aileen history. It's Wuornos history of being abused and abandoned and we treat our kids this way and it's just horrendous. There's a whole culture and layer of very primitive people that are in our society and it's sad.
Do we feel like we want to rehabilitate people? Because I'm so torn about this, you know what I mean? Because I don't know if I'd want to, a pedophile, do they deserve to be rehabilitated? Does she deserve to be rehabilitated? Could she be rehabilitated with medicine and therapy and stuff like that? Can that happen? Can they stay locked up and have a life there or regain, how does the death penalty help society?
Yeah. Well,
I'm just wondering because
I'm in this field.
We don't care about people that are just, we discard them.
Because I'm in this field, I believe, and maybe I have to believe, that everybody can change and be rehabilitated. But Aileen would be a total reclamation project. It would be like a house renovation from what is it called when you totally demolish something, a house and then rebuild it? It's like
gutting.
Yeah. It's because she remember what I keep saying, the theme I keep saying, she doesn't know really how to be a human being. She doesn't have basic skills. Feral. Remember I said feral at the beginning. And that's probably, Dori, what her mental illness was from the beginning. She's a feral child, a feral human being, And the audience can look up that word. It means
no boundaries, no rules, just all over the place.
Like raised by animals, that we got the term because.
Well, I don't want to knock that because I would love to have been raised by dogs. I'm just going to throw that out there. I would love to have been raised by giraffes. I think animals. Yes, Stacey. What is your burning question about this topic of me being raised by animals?
Do you think you would have gotten this, not Pod Candy, but this amazing gig that you got recently if you were raised by a giraffe?
I believe you're talking about my my working situation. And if I were raised by a giraffe, no, probably not. But would I be so happy in my life?
What would be the animal we would all want to be raised by?
All right, wait, let me think about that. For me, I think the obvious would be like a chimp or a gorilla, right? Like they love their children so much. It's almost like having, like a baby. Person that they're the closest to people. So I'm going to go with like a chimp or a gorilla. That's who I'd like.
Okay. What about you, John?
What do you want to be raised by?
Since, having been an athlete all my life, and I was always slow, I would love to have been raised by cheetahs.
So you get that fast gene?
Because I would, would be fast.
What about you, Stacey?
I think I'd want to be raised by penguins.
Oh.
Don't they die early though? Do they live?
I don't know, but I like how they take care of the egg and they sit on it and they're very close and they have partners,
Sense of community. You like that sense of community.
Yeah, I think I would go with a penguin. Yeah.
I like that. Well, this is like true insight that Linda, our number one fan,
Linda Nelson.
Yes.
Yeah.
And other listeners are probably they're just so happy that they have this information on us since we're such a cult phenomenon ourselves.
We are a cult phenomenon.
Can I just bring up, you brought up, how do you pronounce the name? Tyra?
Tyree. Well, it's spelled, I basically, just give me a sec. She hasn't done any, she's very laid low. I was looking her up so we could talk about, but she spells her name Tyria. But they called her Ty.
They called her Ty.
She's alive. She's alive.
Yeah.
She has a private life, and that's it. She signed a media deal to tell her story, but has not participated in any of the film with Christina Ricci playing her. Remember Christina Ricci played her part? Yeah. That was brilliant. But let me just say one thing before you say something else. Eileen in Monster, I do not believe that she treated Ty very well. I remember her being very bossy, and Ty being almost like a slave, like a slave to her. I don't remember, but in this documentary, Eileen seemed to me to be, was she in love with? As John said,
almost seemed the opposite. That Ty was calling the shots. Yeah.
Yeah, and Ty didn't seem very connected. I mean, Ty didn't say much, and maybe she was instructed not to. But I just wanted to put that out there. It just was weird. I didn't sense that she was bossing this woman around. But the woman was, she met her because she was a waitress, I believe. Oh, no, she was a maid at a motel.
Yeah.
So that's how they met. She was a maid at a motel. And she confessed to Ty about the first murder. And Ty didn't want to discuss it with her and said, I don't want to discuss it with you. So she did know, according to this article.
Yeah, I just wanted to, point out, and I don't even know if it fits in this moment of our conversation, but this Ty person was bizarre too. I mean, it's just like, wow. Remember at one point, the documentarian asked her, well, didn't you feel a little weird sleeping with a killer? That somebody had killed men. You knew about that she killed these men and you're still sleeping with them. And he said, yeah, I was a little concerned about that. I was like, yeah, I was a little concerned about that. I would be really concerned about that.
Well, I think all in all, I think we can agree, not the best documentary.
But an eye-opening thing for me, because I didn't know I didn't know how I felt about her. I just always felt that she was evil, as our friend Linda asked us. But now I'm not convinced of that. There's a shade of gray here, and it's just
I don't think it's evil. Again, we're going to talk more about evil in episodes to come, Linda. So keep listening. But again, it's more feral. This person just was not the same kind of human being that we all are. And it's not necessarily evil.
Great.
All right. Good one. Right?
Thanks, everybody. Yeah, This was a really good one. And we found out what animal we'd like to be raised by, which is fantastic. Penguin, giraffe, and cheetah. All animals found at the zoo.
Giraffe, chimpanzee, and or gorilla.
Oh, chimpanzee or gorilla. I'm penguin with cold climate. And you guys are in warmer climates.
Yeah.
Seems.
I don't mind
so we can visit each other.
I wouldn't mind the savannah.
Stay tuned for our next episode where we explore The Perfect Neighbor on Netflix, an incredible story about anger, hate, and violence. Hey, audience, can you suggest topics for our show? Do you have any ideas? If you do, please email us at info@podcandypodcast.com. Support Podcandy. If you love our podcast, consider donating any amount to buymeacoffee.com/podcandy. Every bit helps us keep creating the true crime, cult, and pop culture stories you can't stop listening to.
So people can buy us a cup of coffee?
Thank you to everyone for listening. Our theme music is written and performed by Midnight Current, and you can hear more from them on SoundCloud. Please visit podcandypodcast.com to learn more about us and listen to all of our episodes, or on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks so much.
Pod Candy!